Hello and welcome to another edition of the Hogs Happy Hour here on the Four Star Sports Media Network. I'm your host Blake, and as always, I'm joined by Ashton and Jason, and we got our special guest Dave Shumate from Mach Sports joining us as well. If you're watching us live on Facebook, please like and share the video, and please send us some stars. It helps us out just a little bit. You can always download the podcast wherever you find your podcast, and please rate the show if you will. So, fellas, what is up?
Oh man, Woo Pig Suey indeed, Blake. It's been a month since we've seen a Hogs victory, so I'm kind of excited in a much better mood than I have been in the past 4 or 5 weeks.
Hey, it's a good week, good basketball win, and a good football win finally.
All right, we'll get started with talking about a little football. Again, it's been a long time since we've talked about an Arkansas football victory. Arkansas went down to Gainesville for first time in program history and defeated the Gators 39-36 in overtime. It was Kenny Guyton's first game as offensive coordinator, and first drive, couple plays, we ended up in the end zone. So we'll start with Jason about what are your initial thoughts on this game.
Initial thoughts were it was surprising to me. Honestly, I did not think we could go into Florida and beat them. It come down to the wire to the very end. Some questionable calls again down there in Gainesville. Like the last time we were down there. Luckily, they didn't convert on that field goal to win the game.
All right, Ashton.
Well, I was skeptical. I think every Razorback fan has the right or should be reserved in their thoughts concerning what kind of Razorback team you're going to get. I did see from the very get go, right out of the chute, you had Coach Guyton just dialing it up, just moving the ball down the field with ease, and it was good to see KJ just throw basically a wide open swing pass to the running back right out of the backfield for the touchdown. And then I think reality kind of set in. We kind of went stagnant for a little while. And I think that's what everybody kind of assumed would happen. Florida doesn't know Kenny Guyton as far as his style. What I did notice, a lot of formations that were very similar to the way Kendall Briles used to call plays. That was the very first thing I noticed. Kenny Guyton ran a lot of formations with you and I would refer to as an up back, which is basically a tight end lined up behind the guard or a tackle. And had we not had Ty Washington get injured, I think we would have even utilized the tight end a lot more than what we did. But I'm telling you, it was so exciting to see that even when we went down, you saw an offense that just did not quit, like we saw against Mississippi State. So kudos to Coach Guyton. Kudos to the offensive line. You know what? I haven't said this all year. Offensive line came out and moved the line of scrimmage, and we had not seen that in a month. So super excited. I'm hoping we can carry that momentum into this weekend against Auburn.
All right, Dave, what's your thoughts?
Dude, I had a feeling. I sorry for not remembering if y'all predicted when I was on the show last week who y'all thought was going to win the game last week in Gainesville. Yeah. I just had a weird feeling. It just seemed like a Sam Pittman kind of win. Did it not? Like, it just kind of seemed like off the bye week. I mean, maybe if there was ever a time to fire, so he was going to the bye week, get 2 extra weeks of preparation. Yeah. But it just kind of felt like, as y'all know, Sam Pittman's a player's coach. You had 2 weeks to kind of rally the troops. Florida's coming in off licking their wounds, off kind of getting embarrassed after that first series against Georgia. I always feel like 11 a.m. games benefit the road teams from if they can bring their own energy, like Arkansas did right out of the gate, 14-0, went down and scored, took the strip fumble, ran it back for a touchdown. You kind of are in control because that crowd's still kind of dead. I was kind of like, man, if there was ever a time for Arkansas to get back on track, I feel like it was that one. Like we all were saying, I feel like the game plan offensively was very simple. And it played KJ Jefferson's strength instead of making him make checks at the line of scrimmage, make him think, and as y'all know, that's not something he is a big strength of his. I thought going into the year, the Dan Enos hire, I love the Travis Williams hire because I'd worked with him twice at Auburn and at UCF, and I knew what he could bring to the table from that standpoint. And I figured they'd be better on defense. He couldn't help but be a little better, but just from what Travis Williams does from a player's coach as well, players love playing for him. Energy was not going to be an issue. But I always thought the Dan Enos hire was interesting because this isn't Brandon Allen or Austin Allen, man. Like those guys were coaches' kids, if I remember right. Were they not? They were coaches' kids.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Like they had a good understanding of football. And that's not anything bad towards KJ Jefferson. I just think, like y'all mentioned, the Briles system allows him to go make plays, and I think he's best when he has the ability to go improvise, and I think you saw some of that on Saturday.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Rocket Sanders being back at his home state. Got 100 yards rushing. It was for us Hog fans. It was very exciting to see him get those yards. Don't know if y'all saw after the game, KJ and Kenny Guyton kind of had a moment, where they were, hugging each other. They were very emotional. So I think KJ is glad to have Kenny Guyton as his offensive coordinator.
Right. Yeah. I was super impressed with the reality is that it very, very much like Arkansas fashion when things are going good, for whatever reason, I don't know why injuries, right? Just you've lost Luke Haas for the season at tight end. Then you lost Ty Washington for the season at tight end. And now, I don't know as far as Armstrong goes, but you lose some of your best receivers. And just the relentless attack of the Razorbacks to just find a way to get it done. And I think the final pass to Tyrone Broden in the end zone on what we're talking about the Briles system. It was so simple. It was just basically a read option, essentially, and to see that KJ had the freedom to just pull and throw or pull and go. It's not complicated, right? It's not complicated. And I think we saw KJ be KJ, reel off a 20-yard run when there's nothing there. And just be a bully sometimes because you're big. And I still don't think KJ is running like he did last year. But to see him, there was a few plays, and y'all may, if you watched enough of the game, Rocket was hit, but then he dragged people for 3 or 4 yards. I think you just saw a spirited offense. And then, no, defensively, did we play as good? Well, no, but I've said it all year. Defense has played so good, so good. It was time for the offense to step up and win a game instead of relying on the defense. So I'm just super pumped. I think we have a better taste in our mouths going into this Auburn game this weekend.
Well, yeah, this looked like vintage KJ from last season that we saw this past game. Of course, Cam Little. He missed that one field goal, but other than that, he was on the money. Couldn't ask anything more from kicker.
Right. Go ahead, Dave.
No, sorry. Obviously, y'all brought up the defense playing over. I feel like Florida, again, the record doesn't speak for it. But I feel like I have a weird feeling. I think that game in Baton Rouge this week between Florida and LSU is going to be close. Florida does some ways, as y'all know. Florida does some interesting run stuff with motions with their tight ends that a lot of teams don't run. So it's like you said, if you really never see it a lot, I think they have a real shot to go. I don't know if they'll win the game, but I like them in the spread. So again, I think Billy Napier does good stuff offensively. So it's like you said, I think you were going to run into some trouble. You weren't going to keep them in check the whole game. So it's like you said, for the offense to go put the rest of the team on the back and go make a play at the end of the game to go win. And then honestly, Arkansas almost got screwed at the end from the whole substitution thing. The Trey Smack kid makes that field goal, you're kind of sitting there like, Sam Pittman's like, there should be a 10-second runoff, right?
Right.
I was almost screaming at the TV for that because I was like, man, Arkansas is about to get screwed here.
Yeah, I don't know. I went back and watched it, right, the replay, and I'm just making sure I'd heard correctly. From my understanding, I think it caught the officials off guard. I really don't believe that the officials truly believed that Florida would substitute. I think they set the ball with every intention of or believing that Florida would just hurry to the line and spike the ball, right, clock it, but. They subbed, and I don't even know if the players meant to sub. I don't know what they were thinking.
There was a total
But
miscommunication on there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But the official said the reason why there was no 10-second runoff is that Florida huddled. Florida did not huddle.
No.
But they threw the flag and said it was an illegal substitution. Well, you can't illegal substitute when you don't huddle. Break the huddle.
Yeah.
And so what it was, they were covering their own butts. And I think they're fortunate. Honestly, I think the officials are more fortunate that Florida missed the field goal, because I think they were gonna be in a little bit of trouble with that. If I have the rule correct. But yeah, you're right. Him missing that, I think every Arkansas fan, you know what we all thought? Finally. We all thought finally. Because I think I texted Blake. I said, well, it's just not just how everything's gone this year. He lines up to kick the field goal. He makes it whenever we should don't be going to overtime.
Dude, Arkansas was so due. They were so due.
Yeah.
Like, once he missed that, I was like, Arkansas was going to win it overtime. Yeah. I was glad for him.
Yeah, I believed it too. I believe we would win.
Which I think Sam Pittman's undefeated in overtime.
Is he? In his career at Arkansas, he's undefeated?
Mm-hmm.
Well, heck, at this point, I'll play every game in overtime if that's what it takes.
But we did learn if you're out of timeouts and just send 20 people out there, snap the ball, you'll be able to run another play. So as long as the chains are not set.
Right.
All right. Anything else about this game before we move on to the SEC?
No. I mean, I was glad to see a 100-yard rusher for a change.
Yeah.
And Ashton, when was before this game? When was the last rushing touchdown?
We were talking back and forth. Yeah. I believe you had to go back to the BYU game. Yeah. The last time we had a rushing touchdown. Now, just to say this, we still haven't had a running back score a rushing touchdown since BYU.
Yeah.
That has been since September.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But our must win now if we want to go bowling. So we got to finish it out. All right, going to move into the SEC talk. Okay, again, we have Dave Shumate here from Mach 10 Sports. You can go follow him on Twitter and YouTube. Just look for Mach 10 Sports. Give him a follow. He's got some real good insight on basketball, baseball, and football. So, I think we're gonna start with we'll start with Jason. Is that right?
Yeah, Jason.
Yeah. Hold on.
What?
Oh, Blake said, "Oh, we're gonna get rid of Dave. Get him out of here."
It wasn't me. He's having some technical difficulties, but
that's all right. We'll forgive him.
Yeah,
it's okay. It happens.
Well, I guess I'll go back on Arkansas a little bit. This is if Arkansas wins the next two games, it's going to make that Mizzou game actual like a true rival game.
Yeah,
because Mizzou's going to be fighting for a New Year's Six bowl. And
I think you're right. I think what this weekend kind of hinges is I think how Missouri approaches the game against us whenever they play Tennessee this weekend. If I'm not mistaken, I think Missouri's at Tennessee this week.
Yeah,
I think Missouri's at Tennessee. So if Tennessee wins that game, you're now I think that would put Missouri at 7-3. And 7-3 is a lot different. I mean, it feels a lot different than 8-2, especially if you're having one of those just like magical seasons. So to be 7-3, you lost your last two. It's a different feeling. I mean, even if you keep the game close, you just feels different. That's in my opinion.
Yeah. You're right.
But hey, we got to beat an Auburn team this weekend, though.
Definitely right. And Auburn's going to be tough, man. Auburn plays stingy defense. Don't forget this is a team that took Georgia down to the wire, and that was with a Georgia offense that had Brock Bowers healthy. So to say that Arkansas wins this game, it's not a guarantee. It's not. I mean, nothing's been a guarantee for Arkansas this year. They're gonna have a dual threat quarterback, and I mean nothing we haven't seen this year. Don't get me wrong, but. I think Hugh Freeze just can scheme it up with the best of them. and he schemed it up on Sam before whenever he was at Liberty.
Yeah,
So don't count out Auburn.
I can't remember the last time we beat Auburn in Fayetteville. We beat them last year, but that was at Auburn. So I don't.
Man, that's a great question. I don't know.
It's probably been probably last 2 or 3 times they've come to Fayetteville and won. Yeah, I think me and Jason were part of one of those because I have a picture with Albie, the Tiger.
It wasn't the last time they played here; it was the time before that.
Yeah, so I know it's been a couple times. So Dave, but like I said, if we want to have a quote unquote successful season, by ending it in a bowl game, you got these 1-game seasons for the next 3 weeks.
It was 20. Arkansas won in 2015 in Fayetteville, 54-46.
Yeah.
But in Fayetteville, looks like the last 3 times in Fayetteville, we've been beat, and we've been beat kind of handily.
Yeah. So
by Auburn.
Yeah. So it's not, but it's not 11 o'clock kickoff. So our fans should be very hydrated and ready to rock and roll. So
it's going to be some cooler weather. So
yeah. All right. We got Dave back on with us. So again, Dave Shumate from Mach 10 Sports.
Sorry about that, guys. My internet crapped out on me, and I was like, "Why is this thing?" I was like, it disappeared. Like it was like didn't even give it as an option. I was like, "What the hell's going on?" So I just shut down my computer. I apologize.
I do that to Blake all the time. I won't even lie to
you. Down here in the armpit of Arkansas, it happens every day.
Paper mill.
I can hear Blake's voice half the time, but he's not moving. Okay.
So. All right, Dave. We'll start with Jason. Then we'll just roll from there.
Well, the question I have is with NIL. Some schools are offering more NIL deals and money for student athletes. Do you see this making college football kind of stagnant? Just because the schools that can offer the most money are going to get the best athletes. It's going to be the same teams every single year. I think it's frozen.
It's exactly what I just talked about.
Oh, internet issues.
Oh. Well, he really looks like he's thinking real hard. It almost makes it look like Jason's question was really good. We could always talk. We could talk about that question, though. I think as far as like NIL money goes, the fact that there's really no like regulation as far as like what kids can do, what they can't do, how much they can have, how much they can't have. You open a can of worms, and we've done it, right? It's sports in general now. The can of worms is open, and there's nothing you can really do about it at this point unless someone just comes along and finally says, well, this is how much you can have, or this is how much you can offer a kid. But because right now what's going on, I think in college sports, and y'all probably all agree with me, coaches, including probably Arkansas coaches, you're out poaching kids, if you want to call it that. If people are poaching our kids, I have no doubt about it. People are poaching Arkansas kids. You go poach a program who's struggling, or you go find a kid who's on a good team that's not playing, and say, hey, we got a spot for you over here. Oh, by the way, here's $100,000.
Yeah, well, it's kind of
how do you say no as a 20-year-old?
It's kind of how Musselman did with Ellis. They played Louisville, and he liked the way he played, and so guess what? Now he's a Razorback.
Right, and I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with getting transfers, but Vanderbilt. We talked about this last time with Dave. Vanderbilt's never going to be relevant again.
No,
in football.
No, they're not.
They'll never be relevant again in football.
Well, you also got to think they also got to compete with academic standards to get into Vanderbilt, not just NIL.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there's a lot of factors outside of NIL that can factor in. But NIL being stacked on top of that, I think overall is going to make it to where I don't know. I think earlier in the year I thought there was a lot more parity between schools because you could get transfers in. But as the season has played out, now I'm starting to think maybe there isn't as much parity as I thought. What I do see though across the board, SEC wise, is anybody can win, and I think I've seen that in a lot of other conferences as well. But like those schools who were never any good aren't any good.
Well, they're possibly going to get worse.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a possibility, and I'm not so sure Arkansas is shelling out as much money as we possibly could be. But how about Blake's little graphic there? The players of the week as far as Arkansas and the SEC.
Yeah. Why don't we, Dave Shumate's going to come back on. He's just having a little internet issues, so we will transition to our Razorback News segment. We had a lot of players of the week. That's what happens when you win. Cam Little, as we talked about earlier, he won the Special Team Player of the Week in the SEC. He also he won some other award, the Lou Groza Star of the Week. It's given to like kickers. That's a nationwide award. So, I think Cam Little's got a future in the NFL here soon.
Yeah, he had a rare miss, but I mean, I guess you're allowed to have a rare miss every now and then when you nearly hit just about everything you kicked.
Well, I mean, how far was it? It was 50+ yards.
I think it was his first miss from 50+ this year.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive, though.
Yeah, it's acceptable he missed. It's okay.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
And then Defensive Player of the Week is SEC knows him as Lorando, but we know him as Snacks Johnson. So, Defensive Player of the Week.
Yeah, and where did he transfer from? Snacks Johnson. He wasn't a USF transfer. That was Antonio Greer. I can't remember where he transferred in from. But
we're glad to have him.
We're glad to have him for sure. He's all over the football field. We'll take him, and he's played good football this year for us.
All right. A rarity here, offensive lineman of the week in the SEC, Bo Limmer. Now, I mean, as Ashton pointed to earlier, our offensive line in the kind of the third, fourth quarter was playing very, very good football.
Well, they had some injuries on the offensive line, and I guess they were forced to move people around. And whatever they did to make it work, they need to keep it on this week.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the game, and we still had some ignorant penalties that hurt us late, kind of, sort of. And then we still had some missed assignments where they would do a simple stunt, and we wouldn't pick up the stunt. But overall, when it came to you got to move the football, we moved the football. We haven't seen that this year. When you have to have a first down, we didn't get the first down, but this week we did. When you had to have it, we had it. So, kudos to Bo Limmer and that offensive line.
All right, freshman of the week is Jalen Braxton. So
he's a dude, man.
Yep, another.
Yeah, he's a dude. He was a big
defensive player.
4-star defensive back for us when we had this recruiting class first signed. He may have been our overall highest rated recruit, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I think he was. And that man, he's all over the field. Now, is he perfect? No, not by any means. He still makes mistakes, just like most everybody does. But as far as having a nose for the football, this guy, watch him tackle. How many times is he trying to rip the football out of these guys' arms that he's tackling? Big time to have him on our defense.
All right, kickoff time for next week is a surprising 6:30 kickoff against FIU on ESPNU. I was fully expecting an 11 o'clock kickoff, but I guess they want to see it in prime time.
Yeah, Blake, they know what they're getting now that we're winning games.
And we basketball signed 2 players yesterday officially. We've talked about them here in the Hogs Happy Hour before. Jalen Shelley from Frisco, Texas, and Isaiah. I'm gonna say it wrong until I know how to pronounce it. Elohim. He's from Kingston, New York. So these are top players in the country. They're not just some 2 or 3 stars. You know, they're big time players.
Right. Yeah. I think it's going to be Musselman style from here on out. You go get 2 or 3 big names that are freshmen, and then you go get transfers. I think that's going to be normal. And I think if Arkansas, I hope Arkansas signs Musselman to a long contract, a lifetime contract. He is the current, in my opinion, modern day, except he hasn't won a national championship, Nolan Richardson. As far as how he gets after the players, the intensity it brings. Because Nolan Richardson, if you go watch film on him as a coach, boy, he was all over players. He demanded hard nose, and I think Musselman wants that hard nose, get after it basketball.
Yep. And then our soccer team, women's or girls soccer team, was a 2 seed. They earned a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. They're hosting, I think, tomorrow night against Grambling. So
Are they
I think
on
it's
TV?
the same. It's on ESPN Plus. It's not the SEC Plus. It's one that you kind of have to pay for. You know?
If you have Hulu,
Yeah.
if you have Hulu, you can watch it.
Yeah.
So I'll be watching that.
It's going on. I think it's going on the same time as the basketball game tomorrow. So there's a lot of things going on this weekend in Fayetteville. All right. Well, Dave Shumate from Mach 10 Sports, he will not be able to join us. He's having some internet issues. So he said he's having to reboot his whole system and all that, and he's got a show to get to at 6:15.
Right.
So
yeah.
we will welcome him back next week. I
think
do want
to go ahead, Blake. I was going to say perhaps we could save our questions for Dave for next week. That way, me and Jason don't have to come up with new questions.
That's right. I don't have to type these out again. So.
Yeah. And so
I will. Yeah. I do. I'm going to go ahead and ask this question because by next week we'll know probably more details. But I'm not going to include Arkansas when I ask you two this. But who's more likely to become bowl eligible, Florida or South Carolina?
Florida,
without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because South Carolina they're like Arkansas, they gotta win them all, and or Florida just has to win one. But Florida's got some tough games.
I think they'll be able to pull at least one of them out.
Yeah. And speaking of bowls, I don't know if y'all been keeping up with Arkansas State, but I think they're 1 win away from being bowl eligible.
I did not. I had no idea. After the Oklahoma game earlier in the year, I just completely wrote Arkansas State off. So I guess they're sitting at 5 and 4.
Yeah, something like that. Yep, they've been quietly just winning games.
So you got Butch Jones over at Arkansas State, who don't forget this is the same guy who earlier in the season just had a complete meltdown. After getting throttled by Oklahoma and his poor players, they had to console him. And I'll be honest with you, Blake, you probably would have had to console me too.
They are
70-something zeros. It's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah. Right now they are sitting at 5 and 4.
Yes. So they in their last 5 games they beat UMass, and they got beat down by Troy. Troy's a pretty good ball club in their own right, and then they lost to Coastal Carolina in a respectable game, beat ULM, and then beat Louisiana Raging Cajuns. So 5 and 4, and let's see here, Blake. I'm going to look at their remaining schedule. We got a second. Let's see here. Arkansas State. They have remaining South Alabama, Texas State, and Texas State's a pretty good football team, and then Marshall, who surprisingly Marshall has underperformed this year.
Yeah, so just got to win one.
Mm-hmm.
So all right. So we got Auburn coming to town. We talked about it earlier in the show. Was it 2015 is the last time Arkansas beat Auburn in Fayetteville. We beat them last year at Auburn. So we'll see. You know, teams are going to have film now on Kenny Guyton's offense. So, you know, they're going to kind of know what his tendencies are regarding the run and pass and all that stuff. So what y'all's thoughts on Auburn coming to town?
I think it's going to be it's going to be a tough game for us. I mean, you can say they have film on Kenny Guigan, but they've got one game. It's not necessarily how he's going to call his next game. Luckily, it does look like it is similar to Kendall Brow's offense, which that's the offense that beat them last year.
Yeah, I think you actually bring a better defense to the table this year against an Auburn team who's offensively worse. I think Auburn defensively may be a little bit better this year, but they're on the field a lot. If Arkansas plays with the same type of intensity and same style they did against Florida, I truly believe Arkansas should win this game. Now, that's not to say they will, but this is also the Arkansas team that most experts throughout or beginning of the year would have predicted Arkansas was an 8-win team at the very worst. I'd say that at the very best they're an 8-win team. At the very worst, 6 to 7. So Arkansas still has that opportunity to be at the bottom of that estimation, which is why I think Arkansas can still be bowl eligible. But man, you're going to beat a resurgent Missouri program, and forget Missouri if you don't win this weekend. So I cannot imagine Arkansas looking past this weekend and looking past FIU, just looking to Missouri. Arkansas's got to play every single game like it's the national championship at this point.
Yeah, it's the home fans deserve a win. You know, it's been forever since this team has won in Fayetteville this year. So since week 2 was the last time.
Yeah, it's also been a pretty bad home schedule for them this year.
Yeah.
I mean, so Peyton Thorne, the quarterback for Auburn, or the main quarterback for Auburn, they've kind of done a 2-quarterback system. Thorne's been the main guy. I mean, he's got 1,200 yards on the season, a little over 1,200 yards for the season, 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, but he does like to run the football. And so that's something that we need to remember. He's a guy that's going to run, and we've got to be ready for that. He's an experienced quarterback, got a lot of playing time at I can't even remember, Michigan State.
Yep. And
this year he's carried the ball 81 times for over 300 yards. So he will run. So that's something we got to remember is, but we played, like I said, we played quarterbacks who are very similar to him. And then the other team quarterback, what's his name? We played him last year. I can't remember the quarterback for them. Oh, Ashford, Robbie Ashford.
Oh, yes.
He's an athlete, and I expect to see him play at some point in this game. Whether it's a gimmick play or whatever, I expect him to play. So,
all right, so
let's not look past him.
I'm gonna ask for a prediction from. We'll start with Jason. What's your prediction for Auburn at Arkansas?
Auburn at Arkansas. I think Arkansas will win. They won't win by much. They'll win by field goal. I want to say 28-31 Arkansas.
All right. What you got, Ashton?
I'm going to say 17-14 Arkansas.
Oh, so he's going defensive battle. Last I looked, Arkansas were actually favorites, 2.5 points favorites. I see them winning by 3, kind of like Jason, but I think it's going to be like a 38-35 type game. It's going to be kind of similar to the Florida game, where it's kind of back and forth, you know. Then going back to that Florida game, as Hog fans, it kind of reminded me of the BYU game, where we got up on BYU and then BYU came back. But so I think it's going to be a back and forth affair, and Arkansas with a 3-point victory. So keeping our Slim Bowl hopes alive. Can't wait to go to Birmingham.
Or,
At this point,
or
though,
Memphis.
At this
Yeah,
point,
or Memphis.
for recruiting purposes and
Yeah.
for your younger guys getting some extra playing time,
those
I
extra
think
practices.
at this point that we got to have it. So
All right, switching sports. Okay. The Razorback basketball team officially opened up their season this week, this past Monday, against Alcorn State. The Hogs got a 93-59 victory over the Braves from Alcorn State. Let's go over some stats real quick. Let me see. All right, Mark led with 16 points. Brazil, no, I'm sorry. Battle led. He came off the bench. Battle led with 21. He led with 21 points, and then Mark had 16, and Brazil added 13. We shot 52% from the floor, and we shot 40% from 3. So pretty good shoot numbers for the first game. Brazil opened up the game with that thunderous dunk. Kind of got the crowd into it. Now Brazil ended up getting ejected, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes. And Musselman also ended up getting a technical. So Muss is in mid-season form right now. So all right, so we'll start with Ashton about your thoughts on the basketball season opening up.
So if you don't follow basketball enough, or if you don't research it or whatever, then this Arkansas versus Alcorn State game doesn't look like much. But when you look into the deeper understanding of this game, Alcorn State is a team that we scheduled primarily because of the reality that I guess they won the SWAC. I guess it was the SWAC. I could be wrong on conference, but I think it was the SWAC last year. So if you're looking at a conference champ in their own league, and that's not always an easy thing to do. This could be a team who, if they win their conference, could be in the NCAA tournament come March. So who knows? But this is a good team to schedule. Good team right out of the gate to get your feet wet. Outside of exhibition games, this game counted, and I thought. I think it's always good to know that we have balance on this team. Where in the past we've had if the one guy doesn't score 20 points, then you're in trouble. This year, I think anybody at any point, or 4 or 5 guys, could score 20 points. Devo could score 20 points. Brazil could score 20 points. Mark could score 20. I think they call him Caliph Battle could score 20. Obviously, he's already done it. So a good win for us. I'm not a huge fan of Brazil getting a technical. I like passion, but like controlled passion. Don't get yourself ejected.
Yeah. When I saw it, I just think it's maybe he didn't know the rules because he didn't go out there with any intent. He just, if you leave the bench area, you're going to get ejected. So
it took 3 steps away from the bench and got ejected.
Yeah. I think Arkansas's got a target on their back. I watch every game. I feel like officials look for things. Maybe I'm just being a biased Razorback fan, and I could be, but I feel like officials look to tee us up. They look to give us, foul calls.
The game at that point was getting a little chippy. I don't necessarily hate the call for it to kind of bring some normalcy back to the game.
Yeah, and I respect that too. And let's just be honest though, as far as technicals go, Muss is going to be Muss.
Yeah.
Well, you take the good with the bad. And that's just is what it is.
But luckily it didn't hurt us.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the technical.
Oh, Blake.
Oh, what?
Oh, there he is.
Oh, okay. I said it's more of a teaching moment, for later in the season if something happens like that. I mean, it was a hard foul, but you can't. You've got to stay on the bench. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't just get on the court because
Also,
bad things happen.
a positive to take away from this is back-to-back games. If you go back to the exhibition, Arkansas had 20 assists. Arkansas shares the basketball compared to what does it look like? 7 assists all night for Alcorn State. All night long, 7 assists. That's it. And then on top of that, you're at 44 rebounds to their 26. We crashed the board. And no, are we extremely tall by any means? No. But I think I think we have more this year than anything is we have a little bit of length, and we have a lot more athleticism than we did last year. But depth wise, I think we had athleticism last year, but this year we've got more of it.
Yeah, it's just experience.
That's
what we
experience.
And experience will help you a long way once tournament season comes around.
Yeah.
Now I still fully expect us to struggle in January. I do. I mean,
we're going to struggle at some point. It's just basketball. Very rarely, we're nothing against Gonzaga because Gonzaga's always really good, but we're not going out every night and playing UC Santa Barbara. We're not playing San Francisco. We're going to go out every night. We're going to play an SEC school, and it's going to be, even if they're not really good, it's still an SEC school. So, again, I don't want to take anything away from Gonzaga because they're always very talented, and they're always right there at the very end of the year. But we're not going to be 32-0. It's just not going to happen.
Especially not against Kentucky and Tennessee.
Auburn. Auburn even looked good.
Yeah.
And Ole Miss with Chris Beard is going to be tough, very tough.
Yep.
It is. I mean, there's analysts who think the SEC is the best basketball league right now, and it's going to be hard to disagree with them. I know where we love the SEC, we love Arkansas, but just watching basketball around the nation, it just not they're not as athletic as the SEC at all.
Agreed.
All right. So looking ahead to basketball, they play this Friday at 7:00. This is on the SEC Network Plus or ESPN Plus. They got Gardner Webb coming to town, so should be a packed house. I mean, I don't expect a sellout, but it should be what 12,000, 14,000 people there. Cheering them on. So what's one thing you want to see in this game besides a victory?
Just like it was against Alcorn State. Play fundamental defense, share the basketball, crash the boards, and stay healthy. That's all I want to see.
I want to see 100 points.
Yeah.
I want to see triple digits.
Now the students, did the students get free sandwiches or something? Or something? There was something like the other team had to miss 2 free throws, and I think toward the end of the game they did end up missing 2 consecutive free throws, and the students were going crazy for some reason. So I'm assuming it involves some type of food. But
I know this. I need to get up to Fayetteville and get in the student section.
It's probably a hard ticket to find right now.
I need to let Musselman know that I was screaming at the TV whenever he missed both of those free throws.
Hey, but how about Musselman's vertical? Did y'all see that?
Oh yeah, he was rising up.
Yeah,
he was trying to block the shot.
Made my legs hurt. Yeah, that dude, he's got so much fire. He's just, I don't know, man. He's something else. He's different, but a good different, if you ask me, as far as coaching style goes.
I don't know if y'all noticed, his son he can now be on the bench with them, with the new rule.
Well, I thought he hired him as an actual assistant coach.
Yeah, he is. I'm just saying you can have more assistant coaches now.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But he was.
I mean,
he's been. I mean,
just you realize this guy's been huge in fundamental and it's not fundamental, instrumental in getting some of these guys on the campus that we've signed in the past couple of years. So he earned it. Yeah. He wasn't just given that position.
Probably next year or two, he'll probably go somewhere. and start his actual coaching career, his head coaching career. All right, anything else on basketball before we move into? I'm gonna look at these SEC games real quick. All right, so I got a big weekend of SEC football. Maybe not the marquee games, but there's a lot of games going on. All right, first is Alabama at Kentucky. Bama it's probably going to win the West, no doubt. I mean, Ole Miss hopes they slip up somewhere somehow, but Kentucky's Kentucky's okay, but I think Alabama's going to go in and get the victory.
Yeah, Alabama's peaking, and Kentucky is almost falling at this point. So I've got. Go ahead.
Let's say, how about what about Nick Saban for Coach of the Year?
Man, you know what? I think you make a good argument for Saban for Coach of the Year. I just think a lot of people are going to say, "Well, that's just another Nick Saban football team." I personally think that your Coach of the Year could be. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to come from the SEC.
Yeah,
probably not. Coach of the Year is probably going to come from kind of like Washington, Oregon, probably somewhere like that. Because it makes a good storyline. The Pac-10 or Pac-12, they're done.
Yeah.
So give them the Coach of the Year last year. That's just my guess.
All right, Jason, what's your thoughts on this?
I think Alabama wins this one easy. I just don't see Kentucky beating them.
Yeah, Bama is going in as an 11-point favorite. So, if you're a bet person, I don't know if you would touch that or not. But all right, moving on. Vanderbilt at South Carolina. Now, South Carolina needs this win in order to have any bowl hopes. But they almost got beat by Jacksonville State last week. Like, if it wasn't for a pick six at the very end, And Shane Beamer, he gives off some Chad Morris vibes, talking about in there.
Well,
he said, we're going to celebrate it.
Listen, Rich Rodriguez over at Jacksonville State's got a good thing going. So that, to me, this wasn't Arkansas versus Western Kentucky, right? When we got beat by Ty Story. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think South Carolina beats Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, it's kind of like the Arkansas situation. Prove it to me before I can assume that you're going to win. South Carolina has to have it. It doesn't really matter to Vanderbilt, if you ask me. I mean, maybe to their players it does, but like overall, it doesn't matter. South Carolina has to have it, so I'm going to go South Carolina.
Yep.
Well, I want to make a controversial decision, and I want to say Vanderbilt is going to win.
Yeah.
So here's my this is a hot take, right? This isn't based upon facts or nothing. If Vanderbilt beats South Carolina at South Carolina, Shane Beamer may get fired.
Yeah, I think he'll. Well, yeah, I think he'll be on a very, very hot seat.
Now, when I say fired, I don't necessarily mean right after the game. I'm thinking at the end of the season.
In the season.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a good point though. So, all right. South Carolina's actually they're a 14-point favorite, so Vegas has no love for Vanderbilt at all. All right, Tennessee at Missouri. This is the 2:30. Yeah, this is the 2:30 game on CBS. Tennessee right now is a 2-point favorite. As a road favorite, 2-point favorite. So, I don't like Drinkwitz, but I do like this Mizzou team. They're hard nosed. They're tough. They're going to play some grown man football. They got a really good running back. And now Tennessee's kind of hit or miss. They're very explosive. Now they whooped up on UConn last week, but this isn't the basketball team. UConn's not very good in football. So I'm going to go with the home team, and I'm going to say Missouri's going to win.
Me too. I'm going to go Missouri. I think Missouri plays good football. They played good football against Georgia. Georgia just happened to come out on top, and I think they'll play good football again this weekend. They played good football all season long, if you ask me. Even in their losses, they played good football. So I'm gonna go Missouri because Joe Milton and Tennessee are just like it's a roller coaster. They look really good or they look really really bad.
Yeah, I got to go with Missouri as well. But especially what they're fighting for in the postseason. I just think I just think they're gonna play harder than Tennessee.
Yeah. So, all right, this next one's a really good matchup. Ole Miss at Georgia. Georgia is a 10.5 point favorite. Ole Miss they have very slim hopes to win the West, but I don't know. I'm gonna go with Georgia because Georgia has more to play for, and it's at home, and Kirby Smart's going to get his guys up for this game.
All right, so this is going to be a very unpopular opinion for Ole Miss fans. No, for Ole Miss fans. Ole Miss fans.
Okay.
I got Georgia by 21.
Okay.
I just see. I could see Ole Miss if things don't go their way. I could see Ole Miss unraveling in this game and Georgia just whooping up on them. Now, I could be wrong. It could be very close. Ole Miss could win, but I got Georgia by 21 because Kiffin just. I've seen Kiffin on the sideline when things aren't going his way. It almost reminds me of a pouting child.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Georgia's gonna win.
Yeah. All right. Next is Florida at LSU. Now, historically, this is a good game. LSU is a whopping 15.5 point favorite.
Wow. So is Jaden Daniels healthy?
Don't really know. That's the question. They're 15.5 point favorite without knowing. Could be Garrett out there, Nussmeier.
I'll go LSU because they're at home. But if they were playing in the swamp, I don't know where. I'm just gonna go LSU, and I think it's a toss up for me. Although LSU shows that they can score 1,000,000 points, they also can give up 1,000,000 points.
Yes, 1,000,000 to 1,000,001.
But I'll take Brian Kelly's program and where it's at over the direction that Billy Napier's program is headed in.
Yeah, I'd take LSU over Florida, but it's going to be less than 15. I think the odds on that are a little wonky there.
Yeah, I agree. And the last game is the coaches fighting for their jobs. Maybe it's Mississippi State at Texas A&M. If you thought LSU was bad, Texas A&M is a 17 point favorite, which that's probably right. Honestly, Mississippi State's struggling.
Yeah, Mississippi State's not a good team, even though they beat us. But they're not a good team. I believe is their quarterback still out?
I think so.
A&M would win that.
Yeah.
Well, if A&M does not win this game, I can almost guarantee you that the boosters will find a way to fire Jimbo Fisher.
Yes, the boosters will write a check.
My comments about Shane Beamer, those are kind of like probably not going to get fired, but like if he loses to Mississippi State at home, which again I don't think there's Mississippi State has a snowball's chance to win that game, but Texas A&M loses that game, Jimbo Fisher can pack his bags. Better yet, the boosters will probably pack his bags for him if he's done.
And the reason being is, you got Texas coming in, into the SEC, and they don't want A&M to be struggling, and Texas come in and dominate. So, it's a big
little brother.
Yep. So that's our week in the SEC. So again, got a lot of good games coming up. All right. So what y'all's thoughts about just college football nationwide? Any quick thoughts?
I think the committee may have possibly got it wrong as far as 5 and 6. You know what I mean? I think they had was Alabama 6 or I can't remember. It was Texas, maybe Texas, Alabama, and then or maybe 7 and 8 Texas, Alabama. But 5 and 6 were Washington and someone else. I can't remember exactly. Let me look at the top 10 real quick.
Gotcha. But,
what do y'all think about Michigan? But then
I think, at first I didn't think it was a big deal because, as former coaches, I mean, we will watch film trying to steal signs. That's just it's kind of what we did. Especially being junior high coaches, we were kind of assigned to try to find some tendencies on some other teams. We would, I just remember breaking down the Monticello film. We could see their defensive coordinator hold up his signals, and we kind of caught on to it. So as a former coach, it's kind of normal, but the way Michigan went about it by putting him on the sidelines at Central Michigan and everything else that has come out, I just shame on Harbaugh.
Yeah, Michigan, depending on what happens, they may. I don't know what's going to happen. So until something does happen, I have them definitely. They're a top 4 team. I'd like to see. I know this is maybe again unpopular. I think Washington, despite the fact that they haven't just had beautiful wins, has played better than Florida State. I know that may be unpopular, but I like Washington in the 4 spot and Florida State in the 5, and maybe Alabama in the 7 and Texas in the 8. I don't know. Yeah. I know the head-to-head they've got them probably that way. It is, but after the 8 spot, 9 and 10, you basically write your own. You're in charge of your own destiny as far as the rest of the season. If Ole Miss beats Georgia, I think Ole Miss jumps into the top 5.
Yeah. And
wouldn't that be something?
Without a shot to even play for a conference championship.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it works. So that's how it is. I'm going to ask you a question, Ashton. How about them frauds at Oklahoma? They fooled us.
So my grandparents being from Oklahoma, and I spent a lot of time in Oklahoma. McAlester, which is just basically on the other side of Fort Smith, of the border there, on the western side of Arkansas. I don't know. I thought that Oklahoma had really figured it out, especially after beating Texas, and I just thought they had kind of turned the corner, and all of a sudden they just don't look like the same team. Maybe what we're seeing is this is still the same Dylan Gabriel. This is still basically the same team there at Oklahoma. Maybe they're not as good as people thought. I think maybe they've overperformed because it's hard. Let's be honest, Blake. It's hard to go from year one where you're not even bowl eligible to boom like that, snap of a finger, your top 4, top 5 team. And now Oklahoma's coming back to earth a little bit. So going forward, I still think that they're a top 25 team. They're going to remain in the top 25. But I could see them losing another game. Yeah. It wouldn't shock me if they lost another game. Because now, really, what do they have to play for?
Yeah. Just pride.
Yeah, they're number 17 at 7-2. You just got beat in Bedlam by Oklahoma State, who a while back I would have said earlier in the season I thought Coach Gundy wouldn't even be working there anymore. I thought they were terrible. Yep. Lo and behold, they're 7-2 in the top 15.
All right. Any more thoughts, questions before you wrap it up here from y'all?
No.
All right. Well, all right. I got a couple shout outs. Shout out to all the Arkansas high school teams. State playoffs start tomorrow. I will be traveling to Highland for Monticello versus Highland. There's a lot of great matchups around the state. So if you're in Arkansas, go ahead and check out some great high school football. Also, shout out to our veterans. It is Veterans Day this weekend. So I know we used to work with one, Austin Kennedy. So, always like to shout him out. Also, it's Jason's daughter, my niece's birthday. We're going to celebrate. We're going to have a little party this weekend. So I'll be going up and we'll be having some fun this weekend. So other than that,
good luck to all those high school teams. Good luck to my Benton Panthers. Good luck to our former CrossFit Eagles. A lot of great kids that we coached on that team. They'll be going and playing Nashville, the Scrappers, down in Nashville, and I hope wish them the best. It'll be awesome to see them go down there and get a playoff win, especially for those kids. Bunch of great kids. So enjoy this weekend, fellas, and happy birthday to your little one there, Jason. Y'all have fun this weekend and stay safe.
All right. Any
Coach
thoughts,
Al.
Jason?
No. I did see Arkansas's permanent baseball opponents coming up in 2025.
Yeah.
And
SEC
LSU's not on there.
Yep. Or a big one, Texas,
Yeah.
which I think the SEC screwed up on, but
Shocker.
we're not in charge of that. So yeah, shocker. All right. Well, for Jason, for Ashton, I'm Blake. This has been the Hogs Happy Hour here on the 4-Star Sports Media Network. And until next week, we will see you. Thanks for watching.